Well, had interesting thought about, not interesting thought, but my daughter asked me a question. And I was trying to explain how to love God. And one of the ways it dawned on me, kind of just flowing with this. It's not a really prepared point. Not that probably none of my points seem very well prepared, but God gave us the rules He gave us to help us, and He wants us to be a certain way. Hosea 6:6. I require mercy, not sacrifice, and an acknowledgement of God, not burnt offerings. So it just occurred to me in sort of real world thinking. What's that guy doing? Sorry, there's a guy on a bike who's just in the middle of the intersection. He looks angry and he's kind of just in the way of traffic, and I don't really know what he's thinking. Anyways, alright, he's safe. As a parent, one of the most probably fulfilling moments that you can have, I haven't had this yet really, well, I sort of have. Both my kids are really young, so, but there have been moments where you hear that they acted in a way that you wanted them to act without you having to be there to guide them. So I'm guessing, when a child comes home, let's say a teenager comes home and says, oh yeah, I was at a party and, everybody was, doing whatever, and, I didn't do it. I didn't, because I know that's not the right thing to be doing, or, I took this, a kid who takes some initiative, or that, they didn't have to take. They do the right thing, even though there was nobody really there to, so basically your child is acting in a way that you wanted, you excuse me, try to teach them how to act. You would hope your parenting would lead to them acting a certain way. But as a parent, you really, at some point, you've done your job, and basically it's on the kid after that point, how they're going to act, what, their sense of right and wrong, and hopefully you've instilled in them that. But I can imagine that that's how God feels when people act in a way that He wants us to act. When we have a choice between, doing the thing that He would want us to do, or doing the thing that, our physiology would want us to do. I would imagine that's how He feels. That's why He gave us the rules He gave us, and how happy Jesus was when He found people of faith. People, the stories where, the centurion and the woman, washing his feet with her hair, different stories like that, and people who just have such faith, and the mother who's wasn't a Jew whose daughter was sick, I think, and just and how happy he was with their faith when they had faith. That's well, the widow, the old widow who gave her last little bit of money to the temple, and Jesus was comparing her to the rich people giving whatever they gave. He's like, she gave more, and how he pointed that out as that's like an impressive thing. So it just occurred to me, just doing what God told you to do, even though he is technically here, but we're so limited. You forget that just in your day-to-day life, because it's hard to have that constant awareness. You almost have to be multitasking in a way. But no, if a person's there, you're aware of them. So it's really just a habit, I guess, a habit of perceiving. Because, he's not there with your five senses. Like a parent, a physical parent, a human parent is, if they're there next to you, you can see them, hear them, feel them, whatever. Whereas God, you can't always, you have to, it's like a parent who's not there, in a way. But he's there. So that's I think an awesome way to think about that, is just doing what he wants you to do makes him happy. That's how you acknowledge him. That's how you honor him, through obedience of his rules. Because he set those rules because he cares about you. He loves you. Just like a parent gives their child, no, you don't do this. You don't do the drugs. This is why. You don't have the unprotected sex, and this is why. Things like that. So, just a thought, an insight came from a child's question. Who knows? God, he speaks through everybody. He can speak through everybody. But you got to be listening. You got to have that open, and that's why I think the softening of the heart and that first question, can I truly know what is good or what is evil? That, if you really think about that question, it's like, well, no, and that puts a crack in the shell, the armor of, I know what is right and what is wrong, and I'm, I don't know. So that's something to think about. Just following God's rules. They're not that hard. The thing I find most hard is the thorns in the world. Jesus said this is how strongly he put it. The relationships we have, how we should feel about them versus our relationship with God. He said, you should hate your mother and your father and your brother and your sister. And obviously he didn't literally mean that, but in comparison, you can't let any relationship in this world cause you to break any of God's rules. If my kids need something, this is all theoretical. If my kids need something, is it okay for me to go steal from people to provide for my kids? No, I don't think so. Would that be really tough to would that commandment be super tough to follow? Yeah. But That's where the faith comes in. That's why, God's will, God's outcome. What is God's outcome there? And is it okay for me to, murder somebody trying to murder me? I really don't think so. Jesus didn't murder anybody that was trying to kill him. The apostles didn't murder anybody that was trying to kill them. Murder them, persecute them. I really don't think so. I think you're supposed to forgive them with your last breath. Praise God and forgive those who would persecute you. Do not resist an evil man. Yeah. I don't know. Simple but not easy. All right. Take it easy.